Ashok Ramsaran, Mr. K. Gupta, Rajesh Gopna, Mukesh Agarwal. Could I please request the gentlemen outside to please come in and join us? All of those in the back, if I may request you to come forward. It feels better to talk to people in the front than people in the back. Could you please come up front? Unless the ladies are hoping to slip away in the middle of the session, why don't you come up front? Dipiji. Gentlemen, my name is Munish Gupta. I am International Coordinator for Global Organization of People of Indian Origin. You see the name here, it's GoPio International. And I also own a media company called PIOTV, which is People of Indian Origin Television. So you can understand I'm very deeply involved with the Indian diaspora. Let me introduce my friends and respected colleagues here on the dais. Starting from the far end, Mr. K. Gupta, who's also, I am his proud son, that's my father. He's the director of government liaison for GoPio International, based in India. He's also the immediate past president of GoPio International in India. Next to him, Mr. Ashok Ramsaran, president of GoPio International globally. He's based in New York, in USA, an accomplished businessman. Earlier born in Guyana, moved to New York, and now living there. To the right of Ashok is Mr. Inder Singh, chairman of GoPio International globally from Los Angeles, USA. Pioneer in the global diaspora movement, as well as for all the Indians living in America. He has been involved with the diaspora for the last more than 40 years and has created many organizations, including the GoPio. And to his right, my dear friend Rajesh Gopna, who you all probably know better than me, is Secretary General of HRDI. Mr. Mukesh Agarwal, very good friend of mine, and he's the International Coordinator for HRDI. Let me open this session today, our session, by saying thank you very much for attending. And we in GoPio International have just returned, actually just a few hours ago. We all came one by one on different flights from Kochi in Kerala after attending 3 days of Pravasi Bharatiya Divas, the 11th Pravasi Bharatiya Divas. And prior to that, on January 5th and 6th, we held the annual convention of GoPio International in the same city. It's a ritual that for the last 11 years GoPio International always holds its annual convention in conjunction with the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas, so that our members don't have to travel to different parts of the world, and makes life easier. And we are also requested by the Ministry of Overseas Indian Affairs, as the nodal ministry from the Government of India, to hold our annual convention at the same time, in the same place, so that it increases the attendance for the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas. There are many GoPio International members here that I must recognize. Mrs. DPC, that's Inderjeet Betaha, Dr. Gitanjali Arora, Dr. Rajiv Arora, and other friends who are both belong to many other sister organizations of ARSP and GoPio International. I would come straight to the topic. Our topic today is the diaspora issues in assimilation. I'm going to give you a very brief introduction as the conductor of this event, and then I would ask my esteemed, respected senior speakers to take the dais and talk. The Indian diaspora today is 30 million strong. That's the government says. I believe it's more than 30 million, but it's 30 million strong, growing as NRIs and PIOs. That's non-resident Indians who still hold Indian passport and and PIOs who have been in overseas countries for many generations. We have come of age, we have established ourselves, we have achieved, we are commended, and probably among the richest ethnic groups today in the world. The Indian diaspora story of migration is at least 200 years old that we know of in the modern context, of which in the last 50 years there has been a professional exodus of scientists, engineers, academics leaving India to go overseas. From indentured laborers virtually as slaves to those seeking education and advancement of life and career, we as the Indian diaspora represent a milieu of circumstances and backgrounds that give rise to issues in our assimilation today. We've always been bonded and engaged with India through culture, traditions, religions, and values that are a result of our ancient civilization, and also the fact that India represents perhaps a rare example of a region of almost a continent, subcontinent, which was always diverse in its vastness and that enriched itself over hundreds of years of immigrants that came to India and became a part of the evolution of India. Whether it was the academics in the ancient times and philosophers and conquerors over hundreds of years, they've all become an integral part of an integrated Indian society. India is a rare blend today of all religions, sects, and stratas of society, with secularism, equality, and social justice pretty much there, seen. Of course, we are getting better every day. India's diaspora has been engaged with India in culture, and now India's growth story. We talked about it at the Pravasi Divas, the Prime Minister, the Minister, the Chief Guest, the President of Mauritius, and everyone, recounting that last year in 2012, overseas Indians remitted $70 billion to India, the highest amount by any ethnic diaspora to its country. And it's been the case. We are #1 for the last 3 years. In the last 100 years, India's diaspora showed its deep ties and engagement through, for example, the Gadar movement, which started in 1913 in San Francisco. And that was commemorated by the Prime Minister, the Minister for Overseas Indian Affairs, the Chief Guest, the President of Mauritius, at the PVD 2013 in Kochi. We in Gopio International led that drive to seek and get recognition for this commemoration. In the modern history, the Indian diaspora has thus demonstrated its emotional, financial, and physical engagement with India. In the past 100 years, so that I can put things in perspective here today, the diaspora has faced the challenge of assimilation. Gandhiji was troubled by the train incident in South Africa that made him decide to join India's struggle for independence. The Gadar leaders also faced somewhat similar circumstances, though they used the American model of seeking liberty from the British through armed struggle. In the times we live in today, the diaspora, as it does better and shines, and so does India, the issues faced by PIOs and NRIs can be said to be somewhat different, but are ones that often stem from issues of assimilation in local societies they live and work in. In the Middle East, the workers are daunted by challenges of being unskilled and probably not too educated, largely, in an economically superior society they live in. In the West, it's racial discrimination or the fact that a highly educated, well-to-do Indian diaspora today has become a target of local people who are frustrated financially and socially. Some of it is becoming manifest in terms of what we are seeing recently. Racial slurs and abuse. We have noticed incidents in South Africa, Australia, or even the USA. Then of course, as this manifests itself, women become targets, children become targets. There was the issue of dot busters, I'm sure you heard of, 20 years ago in New Jersey, in America, where every woman who was wearing a bindi or a dot was busted by white Americans. And now the students of Indian origin who go to study in Australia, America, Europe and elsewhere. So as India tries to engage its youth diaspora, that means our children who live overseas, and some of them, Ashok is already third or fourth generation? Fourth generation. And now he has grandchildren. So we have seventh generation in his family. So as our children today think of our identity, where we live, and try to engage with India, and India tries to do that, there are these issues that we face. So as part of this conference, when I was talking to Rajesh, I suggested that, both in terms of human rights that we earlier tackled, which the senior leaders of Gopi will talk about, the issues have evolved. We started with human rights, and today we are facing the challenge of how do we assimilate in a modern world where soft power is what creates either parity or disparity. So we are looking at those issues, we are looking at those challenges, and we will present to you what we feel, what the issues are, what challenges are, and then we'll welcome an interaction from you. With those words of introduction, I would invite Mr. Inder Singh, Chairman of Gopi International, to start by his address.